queens, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun-kissed goddess, heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti. Black girl magic, melanin popping. Whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, dog. When God made you, boo, you know he showed out. Mahogany enchantress, blessings overflow now. Picture of success, seductive silhouettes on a spiritual quest. Manifest and be blessed. Mother, sister, auntie, tribe of Ashanti. Rocking your locks, I got a close crop blondie. The curse and the gift uplift, apply pressure. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Nothing like a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together.
Hey everyone, this is Ursula with Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. So we're going to try something a little new tonight as far as my intro that I'm going to do, because as you all know, this is an audio and visual podcast. So I'm going to tweak it out a little bit so I can make my editing process easier. So what I'm going to do is go offline. I will start the intro song again, but it will be the shorter version, and then we'll get right back into the podcast. Sounds good? Okay. So if you can hold in 3, 2, 1.
For the queens, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun-kissed goddess, heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti. Black girl magic, melanin popping. Whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, dog.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. This is a podcast that is a focus on mental health and wellness, especially for our community, especially for Black women. My name is Ursula, and I'm your host, and each week I promise to deliver the best content. I promise to deliver the best guests. Like I have a guest in the waiting room right now. I cannot wait to bring her on. But I just want everyone to say hello. Wherever you're from, just say hi. I want you to type wherever you're from. Put it in the comment notes. This is a special show for me. Has a little meaning to it, but we'll get into it. But I definitely want to let you all know that it's important that we have a lot of dialogue going on because we have some good info coming. But I want to give a shout out to some of my listeners, in particular, my international listeners. I'm going to post this on my Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together page. I don't know if you can see it right here, probably not. But this is a list of all the countries that this podcast is in. We have Canada, South Africa, Ghana, Germany, Nigeria, United Kingdom, Australia, which I know who that is, Slovakia, I don't know who that is, Jamaica, Singapore, and you know I don't know who's in Singapore, Dominican Republic, one of my favorite places to vacation, but I don't know who listens to me there, Argentina, in the Netherlands, really? Whoever you all are, if you're listening now, check in. It would be lovely. So I want my global listeners. I definitely want my 413 family to check in for sure. Only people from 413 know what I'm talking about. And that's what I want. So let's get into, oh, you know what? One more thing. When you hear my voice, if this is on a replay, please type replay in the notes. And if you're listening to it right now, please share, comment. You can start a watch party. It doesn't matter. Just share. This is all about love today. So we're sharing the love. It's not right to hold it to yourself, right? So also, I have a lot of good info and projects coming down the Black Girls Getting Their Shift pipeline, but I need you to help me so I can help you with these projects. I'm looking for some, how would I say it, politically correct. I need some people to opt into my market research questionnaire. And it won't take no more than 15 minutes. It'll be a face-to-face, not now. But what I want you to do, go in the comments, click on that button, right? On the link, and it'll take you straight to the opt-in page for the market research. I need anybody who's listening to my voice to click on that link either now or after this podcast. That's very important because the projects I have lined up is all about self-care, health, and wellness. But I want to make sure that I am serving the guests correctly. I don't want to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what happens. I need to be very strategic. So I need you to help me to help you. All right? All right. With that being said, I'm done talking. I'm going to read this lovely lady who is in the waiting room. I'm going to read her bio. And thank you for waiting so patiently. Here we go. So we have Viola Borden on deck. So she's a personal and professional experience that she has with challenges that can be suffered when one is on a quest to simply be loved or connect. Her goal is to increase awareness of past psychological damages that have been normalized or even embraced. Ooh, I want to touch on that. That's something else. Normalized or even embraced, personal and or collective, that are affecting the current conditions of the existing relationships of the African American people, families, couples, and community. She's here today hoping to share her personal views and experience on the key component to any relationship, the relationship of love. So I'm going to bring this beautiful sister out of the waiting room. Bam.
Hello.
Hey, Viola. How are you, my love?
I am well. How are you?
I'm well. Did I forget anything in your bio? Anything you want to add?
No, you hit it. You hit it all. I'm focused on increasing mental health self-awareness in our community, especially. So I love that, love that you're doing this.
So should I tell the listeners how we know each other, or do you want to tell?
No, go ahead, knock yourself out.
So Viola and I, we were born in the same area code. So that's what I tell people, that 413, baby, that is us, homegrown. We have Massachusetts native daughters on the live right now, babe. I love it. Who would have thunk it, right?
Right.
So all my 413 people, please check in. Give your girls some love. Give both of us some love and say hello. Yeah, that's right. Come on. Come on. All right, let's get into it. So we are in the middle of February, which is known as the month of love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what today's topic is going to be. You know what? And a special shout out to you, Viola, because you showed up today. We both were feeling under the weather and we both were going to cancel on each other, but
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm here for it.
good. And I'm going to start right now before my painkillers wear off and I start getting loopy on this podcast. Y'all don't want to see that at all. So let's get into the self-love summit. All right. So, what is your motivation for coming up with this self-love summit, Viola?
When you asked me to do Valentine's Day weekend, I was like, relationship stuff, you do a lot of it on the show. I wanted to do something different. And I thought about it and I said, they talk a lot about Valentine's Day being specific to romantic love, right? That relationship type love. So I was like, well, I kind of want to take a different spin, at it. I want to talk about self-love, because there's three key relationships. There's a relationship that we have with our creator, the one we have with ourselves, and the one we have with others. So I was like, well, why not focus on self-love? It's that something that a lot of times gets bypassed at this time of year. Yeah.
So why would you say why? I know it's because it's Valentine's Day, but why zero in on the self-love of Valentine's Day as opposed to the love with your lover, your partner? I guess your kids. I don't know. I don't have kids or grandkids. But yeah, why the self-love?
Well, I think that it's more because around Valentine's Day, a lot of people probably don't realize that suicide increases around this time of year, right? Because a lot of people are focused on romantic love, and there's people who are in bad or toxic relationships. There are people who don't have relationships and they long to have those relationships. And so there's an increased sense of awareness of the lack thereof around this time of year for some people. And around,
May I ask a question? What is your definition of a toxic relationship? In case some listeners do not know.
that is very broad. I would say
Doesn't matter.
I would say any relationship that is unhealthy, I would consider that you're staying in is toxic, right? Because if you stay in it, it becomes toxic to you. Yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah.
I like that. And as an asterisk, I just want to let the listeners know, especially if you go back in some of my episodes, that a toxic relationship isn't always the one that you're getting your ass beat and you go to work with sunglasses over your blackened eye. That's a piece of it, but that's not only it. There's emotional abuse. That's heavy.
Absolutely. And I think that what it is when it's unhealthy and you stay in it, you tend to experience what I call an assaulted sense of self. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. So it becomes toxic to you because it begins to break you down.
So why is it so important to focus on the self-love?
Oh, well, first of all, that old cliche of you can't love somebody else until you first learn to love yourself. let me tell you, there is so much truth in that statement. And we are about to find out and get all up into it tonight.
Well, you know what? Let me open the door so it can come on through. Have a seat. Okay, we ready. Let's get it.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. I got all my stuff right here in front of me. I said, I don't want to miss nothing because I got so much good stuff for us, right?
Well, good. Share. Give us some tidbits, some nibbles.
All right. So, I say that the reason why I wanted to do it around Valentine's Day was to increase the awareness of suicide, right?
Right.
So this is helping people who are single, but it's also helping people who are in relationships that are unhealthy. It's not just self-love isn't just for single people, right? Because a lot of us are in relationships and we believe that we know what self-love is or that we love ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the mere fact that we remain in unhealthy relationships is an indication that we do not know the proper way to love ourselves.
Facts.
Yeah. So I want to get a little bit into all of that stuff. But that's really why I focused on this weekend. And when you told me, I really, really appreciated it because it made me push. It made me think, and it made me come up with probably what I feel is one of the most important relationship topics, and that's self.
Wow. Yeah, my processing button is like this right now. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper. Let's peel a layer back.
All right. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about why self-love is so important, right? So
Okay.
that cliche that I said that you can't love anyone else until you first learn to love yourself, right? So practicing self-love is imperative to increasing self-awareness, right? And it reduces identity issues. It allows us to develop and or establish a deeper understanding of self before attempting to obtain self-knowledge, right? And self-knowledge comes from external, right? That's other people's opinions of who we are.
Okay, got it.
Right. So having a good sense of self prior to obtaining self-knowledge is important, right? Because a person will come in and tell you who you are, and you'll believe them if you don't know yourself.
Wow. And I believe that it actually clears your ears out more with that self-awareness. You can hear it. Let me give you an example. So, as you all know who follow me on social media, I have this new hobby of gardening. So I have a balcony garden, right? So my neighbor downstairs, I live in some condos, he was having a hospital bed delivered. Okay, so the tech man, he was fine. Okay. He was. I'm already like so
Right.
we talked, right? We talked, and I'm on my balcony. Talk. Oh, it's just like Rapunzel and what is it, Gretel or whatever? I don't know. You remember that?
Rapunzel, I don't know, and the prince.
Rapunzel and Pookie and them. So,
Right.
so we're talking, and then he says that he had 3 sons. I was like, oh, okay. So we talked later that night. Then he said, yeah, because my daughters. So now I'm thinking, how did he just told me hours ago he had sons? So I called him on it. So I said, wait a minute. So, well, how many kids do you have? He said 7. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was telling some friends about it, and they said, I can't believe he has that many kids and child support and da. But see, now my ears are different. Okay, yeah, that's that. But this brother lied from the get-go. He's already showing his true self and his inauthentic. He's a liar. Let me break it down.
It's inauthenticity.
Yeah, but he's a liar.
Mm-hmm.
So because my ears are different, I'm really thinking he's already showing up as his real. There was no reason to lie to me. But when you
some
have
people feel that omission is not lying, but in a sense it is. It's withholding information. When someone asks you a direct question about who you are or what you have, and you withhold information,
right.
so I get it.
Right. So because I know I've done and I'm continuing to do my inner work in the healing and increasing my self-awareness and raising my emotional intelligence, all of that, I wasn't focused on the kids. I was focused on this brother is a liar. He's even by omission. That tells me a lot about his character.
Mm-hmm.
This is my little 2 cents.
And let me tell you, that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show, because we can get into why maybe he felt the need to do that. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother show.
Look, that was Billy who I was talking to. Because Derek,
Not Billy. Not Billy. Oh, no, not Billy. Yeah, absolutely. But I get it. But, we have to increase our own sense of self, and secure that before we begin to engage with someone else who attempts to tell us who we are. That's why it's really, really, really important that we do that. That's why that saying, you can't love somebody else until you first learn to love yourself, is true.
right.
Right?
And
You gotta
truly love yourself.
truly love yourself. We're going to get into all the ways that happens, but yes, absolutely. So that's one of the reasons why it's so important. And another one is because it helps us to reduce our potential towards looking externally, right, for sources of happiness, right? Because we have a tendency to think Billy or Susie or so and so gonna come into our life and they're gonna sprinkle some magic dust us, and we gonna live happily ever after. You know what I mean? So increasing self-love helps us to reduce our proclivity towards seeking external sources of happiness, right? And we look more towards inward for our happiness opposed to looking outward. So that's another reason why self-love is important, right?
It's very important. You know why? Because there may be that person who does not have your best interest. And if they see that you're empty on your own self love, because there's always signs, they orient themselves, and that can be that toxic cocktail right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Inauthentic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So these, and it's funny because there's an internal process and an external process of love, right? So there's that, how I was saying that there's the self-love and increasing knowledge of self, right? And then, then there's self-knowledge that we obtain from other people. So there's what we feel on the inside and what is coming at us from the outside. Well, how people are saying we affect them, right? Or how they see us, right? So there's an internal and an external that's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we get into that, it's important for us to understand, before we get into that, how we want to be seen, who we want to be, what it is that we want to do, right? We have to fully know ourselves, right, before we allow someone else in on that process. And a lot of times we don't do that.
Right.
We don't do that, right? As soon as we turn 16, mama give us the go ahead, you know what I mean? We, gone, ready to engage, and don't have a clue about who we are, right? And we experience so much damage along the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get to the point of understanding that we need to increase our self-love. We usually been battered and bruised and confused by the time we get to that point, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Can you? I do have a question. Can you touch on the childhood challenges?
oh yes, we're gonna get into that. So you want to jump to that? We can get to that.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Okay, so let me scroll on down.
I'll mess you up. I'm sorry, sis.
You are fine. So okay, so childhood challenges, like are you talking about like traumas and things like that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So we call those ACEs. Those are adverse childhood experiences, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so there's a lot of trauma that we experience, right? And I don't know if we said this on camera or before we started, but I was talking about the assaulted sense of self.
Oh no. Tell me about that.
Okay, so the assaulted sense of self is when we increase our own self knowledge, right, our own self awareness, right, and our insight. When someone assaults our sense of self, we're more apt to recognize it, right?
I don't
That
get that.
that means that, okay, when you know yourself, nobody can tell you who you are.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So when someone says something against who you know you are, that's an assault on your sense of self. Okay. Now,
Wow.
childhood trauma, right? And these experiences damage our ability to identify an assault on our sense of self. Okay. Um, yeah,
Mind blown.
yeah, they create
Wow.
adverse experiences such as like abuse and molestation. We'll use those for an example, right? They lead to an impoverished sense of self, right? They disrupt identity development, and they affect our ability to recognize when our self is assaulted, right?
Mm.
Because boundaries have been crossed early on before you understand, right, what boundaries are. So there's a lack of understanding that they've been assaulted, right? So they grow up and go out with trauma, not understanding when they're being assaulted. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I do now. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So it's very, very important for us to understand that, okay, we're going to get into the ideal versus the existing, right? And that's when our childhood challenges affect our existing concept of love and relationship, right? So we got the ideal, right, which is, your mom and dad being married, loving each other, providing you with all the tools and everything that you need. That's the ideal, right? Because our childhood is the breeding ground for our relationship development, right? It's the breeding ground. And a lot of times when you get into something and you start having issues, people want to revert back to your childhood. You're like, why you going back there? Because that's where it all started. That's where it's rooted at, honey.
It
You know,
really is the
it
root. It
really
really
it
is.
is. It is. And in order for sometimes for us to understand ourselves as adults, we have to understand what we experience. We have to process it and understand what we experienced as children, right?
You know what? May I interject? You
Mm-hmm.
just made me think of it. So when I first moved here in Georgia, and I remember I worked with this female. She was younger than I was, and her mom was an office manager at another office. Well, I knew her mom was in a physically abusive relationship. The mom told me.
Mm-hmm.
Now her daughter came to work, sunglasses. You know me. What's going on with you? What happened to you? And she said that her and her man got in a horrible fight, and this is the result. I was like, oh, okay, girl, you remember she's younger than me, but it doesn't matter at the age, but
It sure don't.
it really doesn't. Because look at her mom. And then she said, but it's okay. I know he loves me. Well, yeah, she probably would think that because she's seen her mom getting her ass beat every other night. So it makes sense what you're saying is the childhood is the breeding ground, the root of everything of how you go out in the world with your relationships with partners.
Absolutely. It's
Wow.
rooted. The relationship that you see, right, that you experience, that I say there's the first relationship that you witness and experience is the one between your parents, right? And I say that because there's a difference, right? You
Mm.
witness and experience as an impressionable child. the relationship between your parents, right? And the relationship with your parents with you. So there's two different dynamics that is going on, right? So you're watching the way your parents are treating each other and talking to each other, whether they're loving on each other, right? So that's giving you an ideal of what a relationship is supposed to look like. Whether it be positive, negative, or whatever it is setting the impression, right? And then the way that they treat you as a result of their relationship teaches you about love and how it is that you're supposed to be loved. So there's the relationship aspect, and then there's also the love aspect that you're experiencing within that one relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand you're learning love and relationship, how you love yourself and how you're supposed to love somebody else, all just from this dynamic from our childhood. Right?
Wow.
Now that's the ideal setup. It's supposed to be, you know what I mean? Perfect, right? But the reality is, now we're going to get into the reality, and this really blew my mind when I started to do research on it, right? Because most family experts, right? Family systems and family dynamics experts with no allusion to race or socioeconomic levels said that 96% of all American families experience some level of dysfunction.
What's the percentage?
96. 96%. That blew my mind. I mean, it's not hard to believe, right? But 96%. And that's not just Black people. That's all Americans, all races, all socioeconomic levels. There was no specificity to any group in particular.
That's sad.
96% experience some level of dysfunction, right? So when you think about that, right, majority of us have endured some type of family dynamic that has likely induced a predisposition towards emotional impairment. We are emotionally, 96% of us are probably emotionally impaired.
Can you explain to everyone what emotionally impaired means?
Emotional impairment is basically like the inability to identify feelings, communicate feelings, attach with someone emotionally, right? Those concepts around emotions. We don't know. Or skew how we view it, right? Because it teaches us how to bond with another person.
That trauma bond.
That's why it happens when you experience trauma in youth, right?
Blown.
Right. And then you grow up and you learn a trauma bond. It's etched in the stone when you're young, right? We're impressionable.
Ooh, and you know what? I see while you're talking, I'm processing. It makes sense on, I'll just use male female relationships because that's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's my experience or friends or family, whoever, associates, and the man is cheating. It's really not about them. It's really what they experienced or what they saw, right?
A lot of times it is.
That's how I'm processing it. So
A lot of times it is.
not to absolve them from their wrongdoing, but if they are continuously cheating or if they're acting rotten and lying, and I can think of someone in particular.
You know what? When you look at situations like that, right? A lot of times there probably is a root, right? There is a root. They're not just a stinking rotten person that had a great life and then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? A lot of it is rooted in trauma. A lot of it is rooted in dysfunctional family relationships. A lot of it is rooted in the inability to understand or bond with another person, right? A lot of it is in unfulfilled needs. It's so many different reasons, right? That's why
Mm.
we can't just say that the person is a rotten person. Not saying that I say, oh, forgive them, you know what I'm saying? Because need some counseling or some, but absolutely, there's so many different roots to it.
Oh my God. It's
Yeah.
insane. It's insane. And then that goes to that what is it? The secure or the what is it? Avoidant attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's bonding, but this it goes back to that toxic D. It keeps us together. That trauma bonds. Oh my
Absolutely.
God.
Absolutely. And it's not from a lack of desire, right? A person could have a desire, but not understand or know how to accomplish it, you know? And sometimes, no matter how bad you want something, right? If you have that damage, emotional impairment, it takes fixing. And self love is a big part of that. So, you know, so let's keep on scrolling.
Let's keep scrolling, sis.
Yes. So okay, so I want to talk about so we got into uh childhood trauma, those type of things, right? That affect our ability to have a sense of healthy attachment and bonding, which is supposed to develop an ideal relationships, right? So realistically, we already know that 96% of us have suffered some type of dysfunction, right? Whether it be abuse, neglect, addiction, compulsion, all these different things, right? There's a long list of dysfunctions, right? That people may have experienced, right? So this now getting into what you mentioned earlier about how when you think about 96% of people, right, being exposed to some level of dysfunction, at some point it becomes normal. It
Mm-hmm.
seems normal, right? The dysfunction seems normal. I always called it functioning and dysfunction,
Yeah.
right? And it seems normal because if I'm functioning this way, and then I look down the block and Pookie and them is functioning this way, right? And 4 blocks over, Sonia and them is functioning like it's got to be normal, right?
Yeah.
It has to be normal. So when you think about 96% of Americans experiencing some level of dysfunction, right, in their childhood and growing up, it becomes normalized.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
And we just happy as pigs and shit, just, you know,
Pretty much.
not aware. And a
Yeah.
lot of us think we good.
Yeah. That Instagram love.
We think we good. It's perfect, picture perfect, right? As
Mm.
long as, and so it's like, okay, so let's talk about like why they say the past is always present, right? So
Hmm.
what happens in your childhood always shows up in your adulthood.
Yes.
It always somehow, some way, whether it be through avoidance, you attempting to avoid a certain behavior or certain things, right? Or engagement. It's always going to show up.
Can you
It
explain the avoidance and the engagement for
Okay, so
the?
let's say there are some particular behaviors that okay, I'll even say when I was young, my mother was a drinker, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I got older, I became avoidant of alcohol because I seen. So
Oh.
I kind of began to go out of my way to avoid alcohol, right? So that still affects me because I'm not maybe socializing or doing what it is that I may want to do, right? So
Yeah.
I'm avoiding. I got over that, thank goodness, right? But I do have still an extra consciousness around that, a
Interesting.
heightened consciousness around that, right? So there's certain things that we experience in our childhood. Either we may avoid it because we don't want to be like them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or we engage in it, right? And we a lot of times some people can't stand their parents and turn out to be just like them. And then it'd be like, well, how did this happen?
Yes.
But it does happen because there's a hyper focus because we are so affected, right, by it that it sticks on us. So either we try so desperately to avoid it, right, that sometimes we end up repeating it.
Yeah. That's why it's very important. Hold on, let me step on my soapbox. Hold on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
That's why anyone who can hear my voice, that's why it's extremely important. If you see these patterns, which is generational trauma, period, it's important to do some self-work. I said it earlier, having higher self-awareness. And it's okay if you don't know how. Because
mm-hmm.
if you don't know, you don't know.
Absolutely.
However, there are counselors available. There are therapists available, social work, licensed clinical social workers. I'm talking there's so
Life coaches.
life coach life coaches. You're right. It's so important. And to me, right, there's no excuse. No, if you don't know, you don't know. But with the internet going on, if now that you hear my voice, you've learned generational trauma. If you're not sure, go back and look in the episodes. It's okay to get a counselor. It's okay to get a therapist, a life coach like myself. It is okay. There's nothing wrong with growth because we're
Absolutely.
walking around and we're emotionally stunted, and it shows up in
Yes.
relationships, and it's really, I'm not gonna lie, because I've been processing it, and I'm going back and thinking the relationships I've had or the flings. It's like I kind of feel sorry for them now because the dysfunction I had with them, but it's really a reflection on them, on those men, on how they grew up. I'm not saying they were bad men, but I'm talking to myself as well. It's not about you, because it's me. Because it's like, why are you gravitating towards that, Ursula?
But think about it, right? If 96% of people are dysfunctional, what is the probability that the person you dated and you weren't also dysfunctional? We're all dysfunctional, right? To
Yeah,
some degree, right? So we really got to get out of the whole pointing fingers, right? We all have some stuff that we need to work on.
yeah,
And I hear you about when you learn about yourself, right? You look back at those relationships and be like, oh my goodness, you just want to put your head in the sand and bury your head, right? But hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
May I read a comment from this beautiful sister? Oh my God, Serenthia. She tunes in all the time. Hold on. Let me put my eyeballs on. This beautiful sister said, there is such a negative girl. She's already starting. You're right. I see where this is going. There is such a negative stigma when it comes to taking care of mental health in the Black and Brown communities that many of us continue to perpetuate generational trauma. Girl,
Absolutely.
she just all
Absolutely.
right there.
Absolutely. But because we've learned to function in dysfunction 9 times out of 10, we don't realize that's what it is that we're doing.
Right. It's like a functional alcoholic.
There
Not
you
all
go.
alcoholics are laying on the railroad tracks under tent cities. No, they're your co-workers.
Absolutely.
They're
And
your
those are the hardest people to assist in breaking their addiction because they are functioning in it, right? And
yes.
that's the thing. That's the thing. So a lot of times they don't know that they're perpetrating this from generation to generation, right? Because this is how we're used to functioning. And it's almost like, okay, if it's not, they don't see it as broken, right? You know, raising their voice and speaking to each other in unloving ways, and it's just that's a family dynamic. That's normal. We just accept that as being a part of the Black community, right? The way we talk to each other and the way we deal and handle each other, right? We've normalized a lot of it, you know. And I'm speaking for my Black family. I don't know about everybody else's Black family, right? But my Black family.
My Black family.
So at the end of the day, a lot of times they don't know that that's what they're doing because it's normalized.
Yeah.
But I want to get into the I got this thing that I say, not your mama or Captain Come Save a Hoe, right?
Oh.
Right, because when you think about the dysfunction that we come up in, right, and then we go out and we perpetrate that in our relationships, or we have a toxic ideal of what, you know, love or relationship is supposed to look like, right? And we're looking, you know, he looking for his mama, right? And she looking for a Captain Come Save a Hoe, right, to ride in on the horse, right? But the reality is that it is not our partner's responsibility to clean up a mess that they did not create.
Can you repeat that?
You know,
repeat what you just said. They need to, and I need to hear. Repeat that, please, for real.
It is not our partner's responsibility to clean up a mess that they did not create.
One more time for the people in the back.
It is not our partner's responsibility to clean up a mess that they did not create.
Yeah.
And we come into these relationships broken or confused or misunderstanding, right? And then we expect these partners to fulfill a certain role, right? That is perpetrated by our childhood, our lives, our stuff, right? And now we come to the table and say, fix this. We might not say it. We might not say it, right? But we live it. We live it. And we expect it. And he or she better do it, right? Or they got problems on their hands, right?
Guilty. Oh wait, what? May I read a couple of comments? Guess who said they love the podcast, ladies?
Who?
Angie.
Hey, Ange.
413.
Hey, yes, 413 in the house.
And hey, Ange, we love you, babe. And then Cerinthia said, what you just talked about, Viola, now that will preach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the nemesis, right, of relationships. We come in with these high expectations, right?
Guilty.
But yeah, and I've done it. We didn't know no better, right? Yeah. Right. So if I wasn't hugged enough, you got to be more affectionate. Right? I need a man that's super affectionate, right? If my parents screamed at me all the time, you need to be more sensitive, right? You know, and we put all these demands on a person to be everything that we need them to be.
When all we have to do is build that up from within, so you do not have to put it on another person and make it their responsibility.
Absolutely.
And if you think about it, that's not fair.
Boom. Boom. There you go. It is not fair, but we do it.
Yeah.
We do it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Oh, geez.
Men do it. Women do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not their responsibility to heal our inner child. That's our responsibility.
Girl, you saying a word right there. Woo.
Right. So my thing is that's where self-love comes in, right? Because there's so many different components of self-love that will help to heal that inner child, right? And maybe reverse some of the damage that the dysfunction that we experience, you know, in our childhood. And we
Wow.
have to build ourselves up, right?
So we're starting to run out of time, but this is actually a good thing because this may have to be an invitation for you to come back so we can
Yes.
bullet notes. If you're willing to, I would love to. Oh, and Cynthia said, and you can't heal. Ooh, you can't heal what you aren't willing to confront.
Absolutely. Well, I know if we get to a part 2, we can get more into how we self-love.
You know what? I was actually, oh, Cynthia said part 2 on here for it.
Yes, Cynthia.
I was actually going to ask you if you can condense the how, or you can come back for a part 2. No, I think we need to. I would love for you to come back for a part 2. But if you can just give us some snippets, because now we are aware what to look for. But if you can give us some little nuggets to carry us over about
And I
the.
really wanted to get into that tug of war of love. That's what I wanted to really talk about. But we can skip forward to the I have this acronym self-love, right?
Okay.
And I can just tell you, I can hit the bullet points on it and tell you this is a basic recipe, right? A basic recipe for things that we can do, right? And this encompasses self-love. This is my opinion of what encompasses self-love, right?
Oh
Okay.
my God, I'm excited when you said that.
Yes. So let me scroll on down.
Take
So
it.
the S, right, in self-love is for self-care. That's the first and most important, right? I talk to my clients about that all the time. You will be surprised how much progress my clients make just from increasing their self-care, right? So the S is for self-care, and the E is for evaluate, right? Honest evaluation is a necessary component for growth and self-improvement, right? That's looking inward, good, bad, ugly, right? And then we have the L, which is leave. Move on for people or things that deviate you from your purpose or stifle you from reaching your full potential, right? Then you have F for forgiveness, because forgiveness is the key to freedom, right? Because a lot of people don't understand. They want to be unforgiven. They want to be revenge. They want to hold on to revenge, right? But guess what? When you hold on to that, you keep yourself captive, right? And lock onto the pain from the past. Because you can't move forward if you're holding on to the pain, and you need that to stay unforgiving, right?
And it's also about forgiving ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whether it be somebody else or ourselves. Absolutely. And then the L, right, is for learn. Embrace the lessons in your mistakes, right? It's not about not making any mistakes. We're human beings. We're going to make mistakes, right? But embrace the lessons in it.
Yeah.
What is it that I'm supposed to be learning from this, right? And then we have the O, which is operate from a place of authenticity,
Yeah.
right? That decreases self-degradation and shame, right? It helps us to nullify the narrative that we're not good enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are everything that we are, accepting it and operating from that place. Also, value. V for value. Learn to properly calculate your self-worth, which is difficult, you know what I mean, if you've had a tumultuous childhood, right? But we'll get more into it later. If people want to know exactly how to break all these things down, I can get more into it later. And the last E is for evolve. Understand that life is about growth and change is often inevitable.
I love it. Wow. Wow. That's some deep stuff right there.
I told you I had some good stuff for you, and that was just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, that means you're gonna have to come back for part 2. So Cynthia already said she's here for it.
Absolutely.
So real quick before we get off, we're gonna have a round robin. I know.
Oh no! Don't do it to me. I see when you be doing it to Derek. I'm like, please don't let her do that to me.
Derek, I want you all to check out his podcast. It is Relationship Gumbo, and if you heard Viola and I talk about Billy and Susie,
oh yes,
yeah, you need to go on his podcast, and it's Relationship Gumbo, and you can also go back in my show notes, and I can't remember what the number is, but that means you have to listen to all the episodes. You'll find it.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
All right. Number 1, Red Rose Pizza or Queen's Pizza?
Red Rose.
Oh,
Red Rose.
cool. Yeah. So anyone who is not from the 413, you all won't get it, but we get it. There's a lot of people from back home.
Oh, Red Rose, yes.
Have you ever eaten at Friendly's?
Yes, absolutely. Every opportunity that I get, even when I was in the South, when I come home, yes.
What's your favorite meal at Friendly's?
Fish and majig and strawberry fribble. Fish and majig and strawberry fribble. Yes.
That's my favorite meal was the fish and majigs, for real.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. KFC or, oh God, what was that wing place on
Jim Dandy's?
Jim Dandy's.
Are you talking? Did I hear you say Jim Dandy's in your mind? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, Jim Dandy's. Jim Dandy's. I'm still hurt. I'm trying to find a recipe for Jim Dandy's, honey. Yes.
Yeah. Back home messed up when they closed that down. So Tanisha told me they closed it. I thought she was lying.
Yes.
Okay, last question. Holyoke Mall or Eastfield Mall?
Oh, Holyoke Mall.
Oh,
Holyoke Mall.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Back in the day, Eastfield Mall, but now Holyoke Mall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get off, because we are about at our hour, I just want to reiterate for everyone that if you didn't know, I am now a certified life coach.
Yay, congrats.
Thank you. And a mindfulness coach as well. So that's some of the projects I have in the pipeline with Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together, as well as a website coming out soon and merch, different coaching packages. But like I said, for me to help you, you have to help me. And I want you to please take place in the market research questionnaire. It will be face-to-face, no more than 15 minutes. If you do opt in, when you opt in,
there you go.
Turn, I will give you one free coaching session. But yes. So that's the key part, because cousins don't read the entire direction. I put the post out there. People just signed in. You gotta make an appointment, okay? You go to your house. You have to make an appointment so I know what day. Lori, Viola, they didn't even halfway did it. I have an email list this long.
We don't read. We scam. Right. You gotta make it pictogram, honey. Pictures.
I made a picture. I even put the button in red. So Cynthia said, count me in. Girl, Cynthia, go on the link. See, I can count on her because this sister reads everything. Yes, go on the link, click on it. You can opt in through the email, and then there's a red button for you to make. I literally have rolled out the red carpet. Please.
Right.
What else I got to do? But I really would appreciate that. I really would. And like I said, it will be one free complimentary coaching session from yours truly.
Well, I'm gonna get mine.
There we go. And I would love to once again thank Viola for coming on. This was really fun and this was a good, she said, gotcha, I'm on it. And good. And Cynthia, send the link to your sorors because there are about 18 million gazillion AKAs. And I know you know at least half of them. Stop playing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Lori, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Will you
I
come?
look forward to doing it again.
So you will come back for a part two?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I feel like a winner. She said she'll do. So yes, everyone, thank you for tuning in to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. Make sure you share this podcast with everyone. Nikki Clark said, nice job, not enough time.
I know that's right.
So Nikki Clark, after you opt into the market research, you're right. We'll have a part two.
Absolutely, because we really need to get into it, right? Right. We talked about the problem. I like to provide the solution as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm heavy on solution based. So this was just a fluff party right now. We're gonna get into the penetration next time. All right. On that note, I love you all. Make sure and tune into the podcast. You go on any platforms that, excuse me, any platforms that have podcasts. Just type in Black Girls Getting Their Shit Together. I love you all. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate you.
Love you. Talk to you soon.
Take care, love.
Bye, everybody.